A faint beep echoed in the quiet room. Soft white lights glowed overhead. Cucaracha stirred. His eyes fluttered open, vision blurred. "Where am I?" He tried to sit up, groaning. Beside him, a familiar voice gasped. "Oh, you're awake." Standing at his bedside was Fiona Diaz. Relief shone across her face. "That's great." "Fiona," he whispered, stunned. Then his eyes widened. He looked down at his arms. "My suit." His breath caught. "What happened? Where is it?" Panic rose as he touched his face. Then he froze. He looked back at her, horrified. "You've seen my secret identity." Fiona sighed, folding her arms. "Relax, kid." Her voice was calm, almost amused. "It was either me knowing your identity, or me leaving you back there and the police figuring out who you are." She leaned closer. "That is, if you even survived." Cucaracha swallowed hard. "But they'll know now, right?" Fiona sat next to him. "Oh, don't worry. I made sure only a handful of my most trusted hospital staff bring you here. Keeping your identity safe isn't an issue." She smiled. "What is your name?" Cucaracha hesitated. His voice dropped to almost a whisper. Edmund." Fiona nodded warmly. "Thank you, Edmund, for putting your life at risk for me." Edmund weakly smiled in embarrassment. Then suddenly he got curious. "Wait, how did you do all this?" Fiona smirked. "After all, I own the major share of this hospital." "And Lord Tentacles, what about him?" Fiona sighed. "He escaped." Edmund froze. "Escaped?" Fiona nodded grimly. "He used that smoke screen of his." Edmund's fists clenched beneath the blanket. His face twisted with frustration. That mysterious man with the beard and helmet. He looked up sharply at Fiona. He clearly overpowered Lord Tentacles. His voice rose. "So how did he just let him get away?" Fiona let out a long, exhausted sigh. "He didn't let him get away." She rubbed her temples. "He escaped when the cops arrived, making it easy for Lord Tentacles to escape. He also asked me to tell the cops he saved me." Edmund blinked. "Wait, why?" Fiona, rubbing her temples, clearly having the same doubts, replied, "I don't know. I haven't slept all night thinking about this." Fiona looked up again, eyes distant. A mysterious man, easily overpowering Lord Tentacles. She spoke as if thinking aloud. He must be as powerful as a silver rank, or even a gold rank hero. But he didn't want praise. Fiona's gaze flickered. He didn't want anyone to know who he was. The room fell still. Then Edmund suddenly blurted, "Maybe he's a wanted criminal?" Fiona smacked him in the head. "Ow." "Of course not." Fiona snapped. Her eyes burned with conviction. "He's not a criminal." She turned toward the window, staring out into Citadel's glowing night. "I really hope he is not," she whispered to herself. The door burst open. A nurse rushed in, breathless. "Madam Fiona." Fiona turned sharply. "What is it?" "There's a girl requesting to meet our patient." Edmund stiffened instantly. "A girl?" The nurse nodded. "She says she's his friend." Edmund's eyes widened in pure horror. He knew exactly who it was. "Wait, how'd you find out?" The nurse hesitated. "Well, we kept your identity secret, but the news reported that Cucaracha saved Lady Fiona from Lord Tentacles, and that he was brought here for treatment." Edmund slowly sank into his pillow. "Oh no." The nurse cleared her throat carefully. "Is it all right to let your friend in?" Fiona didn't hesitate. "It's all right." She waved her hand dismissively. "Let his friend in." And instantly, the room was struck by a hurricane of rage. "Edmund Perez!" Edmund's soul nearly left his body. A young woman stormed in, eyes blazing, voice shaking the walls. "What did I tell you about going after superpowered villains?" Edmund shrank into the hospital bed. "You promised you would only handle robberies. Thugs, human criminals." Her voice cracked, fury mixed with fear. "Not monsters like Lord Tentacles." Kara snatched the newspaper off the table and slammed it open right in Edmund's face. The headline screamed, "Cucaracha saves Fiona Diaz, hero of Citadel." Edmund blinked. Then, unbelievably, his face lit up. "Wow, that's great." He grinned sheepishly. "With this, I can jump straight to silver rank." Kara's eye twitched. Smack! The newspaper came down hard on his head. "No, you will not." Her voice trembled now, no longer just anger, but fear. "I'm surprised you even made it out alive." The anger drained from Kara's voice, leaving only fear. Edmund fell silent. For the first time, The weight of the night truly hit him. Fiona stood quietly nearby, sipping her coffee, watching everything unfold. Kara's shoulders began to shake. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Edmund reached up gently and wiped them away. "You're right, Kara." His voice softened. "I should stick to my lane." He swallowed hard. "The news is false. I didn't say Fiona." And then he told her everything. About the tentacles, about the lightning, about the man in the helmet. Kara listened without interrupting. Her expression slowly changed. Confusion, conflict, concern. She didn't want Edmund reckless, but she didn't want him giving up either. The mysterious man in the helmet. Her eyes sharpened. "Wait." A slow smile crept across her face. "If he's as strong as you say, maybe you could partner with him. That way you'd be safe and still continue being a hero." Edmund hesitated, but he doesn't want to be found. Kara's smile widened. "So we find him." Fiona raised an eyebrow. "Well, geniuses, how exactly are you planning to find him in the first place?" Silence filled the room. Then, Kara smirked. "The suit." Fiona reached toward the bedside table. She lifted a half-melted, acid-burnt costume. "You mean this rag? It's practically destroyed." Kara's face went pale. Very slowly, she turned toward Edmund. A death stare. "You not only put yourself at risk, you burned the suit it took me 1 year to build." Edmund visibly shrank into the bed. Fiona sighed. "So, I guess we can't find him now, right?" Kara blinked once. Then her smile returned. "Oh, the suit isn't what's going to find him." She leaned forward. "The camera in his headgear is what we need." Fiona picked up the mask. "You mean this one?" She looked at it oddly. "Yes." Kara clapped her hands excitedly. "That's it. Now, we can figure out who our mysterious man really is." Edmund exhaled slowly, as decisions were being made for him. The morning sun blazed down over the construction site. Metal clanged violently. Engines roared. Dust hung thick in the air. At the center of it all stood Akagon, commanding, unshaken. "Get your asses working." His voice sliced through the noise like steel. He pointed across the site. "And you, stop slacking over there." The workers scrambled back into motion. Akagon was busy, focused, in control. But somewhere deep inside, he felt it. That faint, crawling sensation, like someone was watching him. He didn't turn, didn't react, didn't care. "All right, man, take a break." Akagon stepped away from the site, walking toward the main road. Calm. Then, without warning, he made a sharp left into a narrow side path, then stopped. His voice came out flat, direct. "What were you doing near the site?" "You know, outside personnel aren't allowed in here." He turned slowly. "I've noticed you. Since morning." Edmund froze. I am sorry." His voice trembled. "I didn't mean to cause any trouble. I just want to talk." Akagon frowned slightly. "Talk? To me? What about?" Edmund swallowed. "It's about the skirmish with Lord Tentacles." Akagon's expression barely shifted. "Yeah, I heard it was pretty bad, but what does that have to do with me?" Edmund looked down, then muttered, barely audible, "Because you were there yesterday." Akagon stiffened, just slightly. "What do you mean?" Edmund forced himself to look up. "It was you, the man in the helmet." Silence. Akagon suddenly chuckled, waving him off casually. "I think you've mistaken me for someone else. Now leave. I've got work to do." "Stop." Edmund's voice hardened. "No fear now. I was there. I almost died that night. If not for you." "That's right. I'm Cucaracha." Akagon turned sharply, eyes narrowing. "If hypothetically, what you're saying is true, and if I hypothetically saved you." He stepped closer, slow, measured. "Don't you think you owe me my privacy?" Hypothetically, his gaze locked onto Edmund's, unblinking, unyielding. "I knew you couldn't do it." The voice came from across the street, calm, almost amused. A young woman folded her newspaper neatly, pushing herself off the wall she had been leaning against. She crossed the road casually, as if she had all the time in the world. She stopped in front of Edmund and Akagon. "Hello." She smiled, confident, direct. "I'm Caroline." A slight tilt of her head. Or Kara, as everybody calls me. She jabbed a thumb toward Edmund. Edmund never gets to the point. She reached into her jacket slowly, pulled out a sleek key card, held it out toward Akagon. "Anyway, meet us here tonight. We have something you would like to hear." She turned the card slightly so he could read it. "Hotel Valhalla, Presidential Suite." "Wait." Akagon's voice hardened. Annoyed. "Why would I agree to meet a bunch of strangers?" His eyes narrowed sharply. "Who do you think you're, Goldilocks? Order me around?" Kara didn't flinch, not even a blink. "Like I said, I'm Kara." She smiled faintly. The one who discovered the man behind the helmet. Her voice softened, but her eyes did not. And I would love to tell the world who actually saved Fiona. Kara, stop. I'll handle this, Edmund said quickly. Akagon's jaw tightened. Are you blackmailing me? His voice dropped. Low, controlled, dangerous. Kara laughed lightly. Oh, not at all. I just want people to know how great you are. She leaned closer, just slightly. But if there's a reason you don't want that, her eyes gleamed with quiet calculation, then maybe you should hear what we have to say tonight. Silence lingered between them, the air heavier now, and for the first time, Akagon realized these weren't just kids chasing a mystery. They had leverage. Night fell over Citadel. Neon lights shimmered across towering glass structures, the city settling into its restless evening pulse. Akagon stood at the entrance of Hotel Valhalla, a monument of steel, glass, and quiet wealth. He stepped inside without hesitation. Moments later, he reached the topmost floor. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. Akagon stepped out, walking down a plush, dimly lit hallway. Footsteps muted against thick carpet. He stopped at the presidential suite door, pulled out the key card, swiped, a soft click, unlocked. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. Kara and Edmund were waiting. Pretty nice place for a meeting, Akagon muttered. His eyes moved slowly across the massive suite. Luxury furniture, soft golden lighting, a full glass wall overlooking the entire skyline. Citadel glowed beneath them like a living circuit board, alive, watching. He turned back toward them. So, you said you had something to tell me? Edmund opened his mouth. Kara immediately stepped in. She gestured casually toward the bar counter. But before that, can I get you something? Food, drink. Akagon's eyes hardened instantly. You really shouldn't be testing my patience, Caroline. His voice lowered. Cold, if I really am the man you think I am. He took a slow step forward. Who exactly do you think is going to stop me right now? The air shifted. Heavy. Dangerous. Kara swallowed. Edmund, I think maybe I pushed this too far. A new voice cut cleanly through the tension. Gosh, you kids are useless. All three turned, standing at the suite entrance. Fiona Diaz, calm, elegant, completely unfazed. My bearded hero. A soft smile curved across her lips. So we finally get to see your face. She walked closer, studying him openly. Akagon blinked, actually flustered. Fiona, please step away, Edmund said quickly. Don't taunt him like I did, Kara added from behind her. He seems dangerous. Fiona scoffed lightly. Dangerous? This man. She turned and looked directly into Akagon's eyes. He is anything but. Her gaze didn't waver. Right, Akagon? She stepped even closer. The act of threatening these kids. We can stop that now. Her voice softened, but it carried certainty. And somehow, for the first time since he entered the room, the tension shifted. Akagon let out a slow sigh. He leaned back against the bar counter, took a measured sip of his beer. All right. His eyes lifted toward them. What do you guys want to talk to me about? Fiona stepped beside him, close enough to be heard clearly. The hero system. A pause, and the changes that need to be made. Akagon glanced at her sideways. A faint scoff. And you want to talk to me about that? Fiona didn't react. She smiled calmly. Just hear me out. Akagon said nothing, but he didn't walk away either. That was permission enough. Fiona began. You already know the ranking structure. God rank heroes, planetary threats. Gold rank, national level threats. Silver rank, city level threats. Bronze rank, street level threats. She folded her arms. These rankings weren't random. They were issued by the justice system. Every hero who wanted to operate had to register. They were monitored closely, evaluated on strength, response time, number of civilians saved, operational efficiency. She paced slowly across the suite as she spoke. And based on those metrics, they were assigned their rank and their position within that rank. Akagon listened quietly, expression unreadable. And if they underperformed, they were demoted. If they repeatedly failed, their registration was revoked. Her tone sharpened. The system was strict, brutal even, but it ensured one thing. Heroes did their duty. Silence filled the room. Even the city lights outside felt distant. Then Fiona's expression shifted. Softer, darker, but that was all. Until 5 years ago. Red Day, and the air in the room seemed to grow heavier. There was a mole. Inside the Justice Department, they leaked the identity of a silver rank hero. Akagon's eyes narrowed slightly. The leak led to his death. She paused, and the death of his entire family. The words settled heavily in the room. Even Edmund shifted uncomfortably. For a moment, no one spoke. For protection, the Justice Department removed mandatory registration. No hero was required to reveal their identity anymore. And from that day forward, rankings were no longer decided by the system. She turned slowly toward Akagon. They were decided by the public. Through popularity, public votes, public opinion, and public funding followed those votes. She let the weight of it hang in the air. And that is where everything started to break. Fiona's gaze hardened. Once registration was removed, heroes were no longer closely monitored. She walked toward the massive glass wall overlooking Citadel. The city lights shimmered beneath them. All they had to do was take easy jobs, appear charismatic, defeat small-time villains in front of cameras, and the public would reward them with rank, with funding, with status. She turned back sharply. With no justice oversight, heroes began to slack. Her voice sharpened further. They didn't arrive on time. They avoided dangerous calls. And when truly powerful villains appeared, they didn't arrive at all. Edmund's jaw tightened. Crime rates rose. Villains became bolder. They began operating openly. And when civilians started suffering, Fiona exhaled slowly. All it took, one televised robbery, one dramatic mugging rescue, one well-timed media appearance, and the public would believe that everything was still under control. Silence filled the suite. Fiona's tone softened. As an actor, I achieved everything I wanted. Fame, wealth, influence. She folded her arms loosely. And recently, I decided to give back. Shelters, free education, and now, medical care. She paused, her eyes distant for a moment. When I, someone known to politicians, known to heroes, known to the public, had no one come to rescue me. Her voice tightened slightly. When I was literally inaugurating a hospital, in service of the public, and still, no one came. Her voice dropped. It was in that moment I understood the reality of an ordinary civilian. Silence filled the suite. Even Akagon looked at her differently now. No sarcasm, no deflection, just listening. But alongside that realization, she stepped closer to him. Came a solution. A faint smile formed on her lips. And that solution is you. What? Me? Akagon frowned. What exactly can I do about all this? Fiona stepped even closer. Her eyes no longer soft. They burned with conviction. Only you can do this. Akagon stared at her, perplexed, unsure whether to laugh or walk away. Imagine. She lowered her voice. Just imagine. If you become a hero, you start as bronze. You show up everywhere a tough situation arises. You arrive on time. You protect civilians. You take down villains, even the ones the other bronze heroes conveniently avoided. She stopped pacing, locked her eyes onto his. As you gain momentum, as the public sees you doing what others refuse to do, they will begin to realize these are the actual duties of a bronze hero. And once they realize that, they will begin questioning the others. The room grew still. Why didn't they show up? Why didn't they respond? Why do they hesitate? And that pressure will force them to choose. Do their duty properly, or lose their rank, along with the public funding that comes with it. Akagon was no longer scoffing. He was listening, carefully. Fiona turned slightly toward Edmund. And Edmund will be your partner, while you handle the tougher jobs. He handles the daily operations. Street patrol, robberies, visible presence. She turned back to Akagon. The Justice Department once had rules. They governed hero behavior. They enforced standards. A pause. Now, you and Edmund will become those rules. Through your actions, you will make the public raise the standard of what a hero should be. She held Akagon's gaze steadily. After you saved me yesterday and let Edmund take the credit, I realized something. She stepped closer. You're not like those fake heroes. But I also realized you needed your identity hidden. Akagon didn't deny it. He didn't confirm it either. And whatever your reason is, I won't ask. She reached slowly into her pocket and lifted a small black sphere. It shifted continuously in her palm. Liquid, alive, adaptive. The surface rippled like living metal, reforming every second. Kara leaned forward instantly. Is that a nanite sphere? Fiona smiled. Yes. Edmund blinked. A nanite sphere? Kara's eyes lit up. Even after the justice system stopped tracking heroes, there were still ways to identify them. Facial recognition, body language tracking, voice pattern analysis. She pointed toward the sphere. But this, all you do is attach it behind your neck. It links directly to your central nervous system. Then imagine a suit, and it manifests around you, obscures your face, alters your voice, masks your biometrics. You become completely unrecognizable. Akagon's gaze never left the shifting sphere. There's only one drawback, Kara added. It costs a fortune. I've only heard of gold rank heroes using it. She glanced teasingly at Fiona. But with her around, I guess it doesn't really matter. Fiona stepped closer to Akagon. You now know the reason I need you to become a hero. And I hope this Nanite sphere has given you a solution to protect your identity. She held his eyes, which none of us will ever ask why you need hidden. Her voice softened. So, what do you have to say? Silence filled the room. Akagon studied the shifting sphere, then looked at Fiona. A slow smirk formed. You really thought of everything, didn't you? Fiona didn't answer. She didn't need to. Akagon exhaled slowly. With the amount of effort you've put into this, I'd feel guilty saying no. Kara's face lit up instantly, a triumphant grin spreading wide. Edmund smiled with visible relief. Fiona nodded once. All right, Akagon said calmly. So where do we begin? First, we register you in the hero database. She walked toward the large digital display and pulled up the current rankings. There are currently 150 bronze rank heroes, 45 silver rank heroes, 7 gold rank heroes, and of course, she paused slightly, the god rank heroes, the Cabal of Justice. They've existed since the inception of heroes. She swiped the screen again, and then nearly 1,000 names on the waiting list. People the public hasn't recognized yet. Edmund spoke up quietly. It took me 2 months to reach bronze rank. I pushed myself into every crime scene I could handle. And after all that, I only earned position 146. He glanced awkwardly at Akagon, but after saving Fiona, my rank jumped to 25. Fiona continued smoothly. From Edmund's situation, we can conclude something important. If we want you accepted immediately and to rise quickly, you either save someone famous. She briefly looked at herself, or defeat someone powerful. A pause, like Lord Tentacles. Kara's tablet pinged sharply. She glanced down, then a slow smile formed. Well, looks like you're in luck. She rotated the screen toward them. We've got a live situation. The sinister siblings, Tier B villains, currently robbing the central bank of Citadel. Approximately 30 hostages. Akagon raised an eyebrow. Tier B, oh, Kara nodded. Villain classifications, given by public consensus. Tiers, A, B, C, D. Tier A being near catastrophic. Tier D being minor nuisances. Lord Tentacles was Tier B. Same as these two. She zoomed in on the profiles. They're known to kill hostages, cops, and even some bronze heroes in the past, if necessary. And that's exactly why they've been avoided by most of our so-called heroes. Fiona stepped closer to Akagon. This is perfect if you take down the sinister siblings. You won't just enter the system, you'll shake it. She picked up the Nanite sphere. Starting here, we'll show the public what an actual bronze hero should look like. She placed it in his hand. Now, put it on, and get to work. Akagon pressed the sphere behind his neck. The Nanites activated instantly. Black liquid metal spread across his skin, wrapping his torso, hardening along his arms, sealing over his face. The material shifted, adjusted, locked in place. His suit formed in seconds. Sleek, dark, intimidating. Fiona watched with pride. Edmund and Kara exhaled in awe. Without another word, he ran toward the balcony and jumped. Wait! Edmund rushed forward. Can he fly? Kara joined him at the edge. Well, she muttered. Akagon hit the ground. A perfectly controlled impact. I guess he doesn't fly. Fiona watched quietly from behind him. Smiling, Akagon sprinted toward the bank at near sonic speed. Wind tearing past him. Kara's voice crackled in his ear. The sinister siblings, Jake and his sister Jekyll. Tech prodigies. They use experimental equipment. Unregistered prototypes. Expect mobility tech. Energy weapons. And they have a small armed crew inside. Akagon reached the entrance of the bank of Citadel. All right, I'm going in. Miles away, Fiona whispered softly. Get them. He blasted through the reinforced steel doors. Inside, Hostages knelt on the floor, hands on their heads. Gunmen pressed rifles against them. One thug turned. "Hey, who the hell are you?" Another laughed. "Have the bronze heroes forgotten what we did to them last time? Take them down quickly." Gunfire erupted. Smoke filled the lobby. When it cleared, Akagon was still standing, unmoved. In a flash, he moved. A kick, a knee to the gut, a punch to the face, an elbow strike that folded another man instantly. The crew dropped one after another. "All right, everyone move." He guided the hostages toward the exit. Then, a blur shot over his head. Jets roared. Jake hovered midair, jet-propelled boots blazing, flame-crackling gauntlets glowing red. On the opposite side, Jekyll stepped forward. Steel armor fitted perfectly to her frame, a sort of swirling mist humming in her grip. Jake smirked. "Look at this. Don't heroes usually run when they hear our names?" Jekyll tilted her head mockingly. Maybe he's new, trying to prove himself. Her voice turned cold. The siblings closed in from both sides. Jake launched first, flame gauntlet punching straight for Akagon's chest. Jekyll thrust her mist blade toward his neck. Akagon jumped. High, higher than they expected. He came down, fist first, straight onto Jake's face. Crack! Jake hit the ground instantly. Unconscious. One blow. Jekyll froze. "What did you do to my brother?" She screamed and slashed violently. Horizontal, vertical, diagonal. Akagon dodged calmly. Then, he caught the mist blade in his bare hands. The blade fizzled uselessly. Jekyll's eyes widened. He stepped forward and headbutted her. Crunch. Her nose shattered. Her face swelling immediately. Jake groaned awake. Akagon grabbed Jekyll by the collar, turned, and slammed her directly into Jake. The impact launched them both backward, through the bank wall, exploding into the street. Concrete shattered. Debris flew. Police sirens wailed. Both siblings lay unconscious on the pavement. Akagon walked out calmly. Press vans screeched to a halt, cameras flashing wildly. "That's him. He saved us," shouted the rescued hostages. He took down the sinister siblings. Single-handedly, a reporter shoved a mic forward. "You defeated them and their crew alone. What do you call yourself?" Akagon stood tall, his black suit gleaming under flashing lights, his beard and jawline visible beneath the helmet's open design. He smiled slightly. "Great beard hero." Cameras exploded in flashes. And somewhere deep within the hero database, the rankings began to shift. The hero system had just been shaken.